Hey babe, get over here. Hey guys, it's AJ here. While my lovely wife Paulette takes her sweet ass time getting over here, I wanted to show you what she got me today. She got us a new tank. Yeah, right there. Isn't she awesome? Anyhow, it's a 45-gallon cube tank from Marineland. We got it from Petco for a little over $400. It's going to go in our front room that, to this day, even though we've been in the house a year, it's been empty, and we finally decided to start doing something with it. What better way than with a new reef tank? It's actually going to be her tank, so she's going to be learning a lot on it as a first-time reefer. I'm going to help her get it started. We're going to walk you guys through setting it up, drilling the tank, building the sump, as well as the progression through selecting equipment, stocking, cycling the tank, corals, the dosing method, the filtration method we're going to go through. It's going to be much simpler than the 75-gallon tank I have in the other room. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so guys, the first thing we're going to do is drill the tank out. And before drilling the tank out, we need to make sure our overflow and our bulkheads are in the right spots. So I already went ahead and measured the inside of the tank using a tape measure, which it measures about 23 1/4 from the inside length. And then we're using the CPR overflow, which is actually the extra one I had from the 75-gallon build. And this is 12 1/2, which leaves me with about 5.3 inches on each side to keep this centered. So we're going to go ahead and mark that off, and then figure out where this is going to go. I'll mark off with Sharpie, and we'll get ready to drill the tank. So I went ahead and marked each side about 5 1/4 in, and I'm just going to go ahead and eyeball the overflow box, which obviously I'm well off because I took the outside diameter versus the inside diameter when I was making my marks, which gives me about an extra inch of play. So I'll just add a 1/2 inch to each side, and that'll give me where I need to go. I'm not too worried about my markings on this panel because I am going to paint it after we drill it. It's going to be black, so it won't show any of my Sharpie marks. Okay, so now what I'm going to go ahead and do is from the inside of the tank, I'm going to go ahead and mount this up there. This tank does have a beveled edge, so I'm just going to center it on the bottom portion of the bevel. And that should ensure that this bottom part is level with the top of the tank. I will then go underneath and actually mark and trace out the tank so I have an idea when I'm drilling that I know exactly where my overflow is, so that way I don't have a bulkhead too far over outside of the box. So that line is not perfect, but again, that doesn't really matter because it's going to get covered with the overflow box and the silicone, and then the rest of this is going to get sprayed with paint. What we'll be using to drill our drains is going to be a 1 inch diamond coated drill bit. Actually, I believe it's 45 millimeters for 1 inch bulkheads. I'm going to have two because we're going to do a Herbie method overflow. So one's going to be main drain and one's going to be emergency. I'll just put them in the center, and then probably on this side is where I'll do a 3/4 inch bulkhead for a return. So we'll go ahead and kind of figure out where we want these spaced. Get my tape measure again, just to confirm. This is about 12 inches. So I'll do one, I guess we'll say 3 inches from each side. So we'll do one there and one there. So those will be the center of each bulkhead. And you don't want them too close to the edge, otherwise you risk cracking the glass. Also, another note, guys, make sure you check with your tank manufacturer, make sure your glass is not tempered, otherwise you will crack it and then you're out of a tank. I already did some research with Marineland. They said the walls of this tank should not be tempered, so I should be good to go to drill. But however the bottom is, and of course they're going to tell you, like they tell everyone, that It's going to void your warranty. But who cares? Because if you do it right, it'll be perfectly fine. Alright. So then the other thing I like to do is I like to take my bulkheads and actually trace out around my center point. So that way I know exactly where to put the edge of the drill bit when I go in, because as you guys know, you got to go in at an angle. If you go in flat, it'll jump around and scratch the shit out of your glass and not work. So I always take my bulkhead here. What I'll do is I'll try and center it up on that little mark I made as best I can, and I will just trace around it. And I'm not too particular about these being perfect as far as centered in the middle of the overflow or anything like that. As long as they're a general distance away from each other to ensure the integrity of the glass, because it's going to be covered by the overflow, so you're not going to see it anyway. But I do like to have it somewhat symmetrical just to ensure the strength. So there's my guide holes. Next thing I'm going to do is I'll surround this with some plumber's putty and get some water, and we'll start drilling. Go ahead and pause it. Alright guys, so now we've got pretty much the next step of the drilling process. The first thing you'll notice is I got my 3 circles, the 2 drains, and my single return all marked out. I have some plumber's putty around the first hole that we're going to do, and then I'll show you guys how I put it around the second hole, and then the third hole is obviously it's repeat. What you need to actually drill the tank is a diamond coated drill bit. You can get these off Bulk Reef Supply for anywhere from I think $15 to $25, $30 depending on what size you need. They are, I don't want to say they're one-time use, but in my experience I haven't been able to drill multiple tanks with a single bit. You're going to need some water, just regular old tap water is all that's in there, because you got to keep this from getting too hot, otherwise it'll splinter the glass. And then the last thing, or last 2 things, is I put a towel underneath. In case this piece falls, it'll catch the towel, not the bottom portion of the tank and break. And then I put a little piece of tape underneath it as well, just to help secure it and keep it from splintering on the bottom as well. So we'll go ahead and get started. While I put a little bit of water in here, you can buy certain assists like a drill press and things that help guide you. I've never used one, to be honest with you. This is going to be my 4th tank I've drilled, and I've always just done it hands-free. What you do is you want to go in at an angle, get it started, and then you can smooth and flatten it out. The trick is to have a high-power drill and go slow. Let the drill do the work. Don't put pressure. If you put pressure, you're going to splinter the glass. Periodically, you're going to have to add more water, just because that water does get hot and you want to keep the drill bit cold. I like to do it after I've started the circle, just because at that point the blade's starting to heat up a bit. Can't, but I'm sure you can, Paulette. You can start to smell the glass a little bit as everything's starting to heat up, as the drill bit's starting to heat up. That's a good indication that you need to add more water. And actually it's getting a little cloudy, so I'm having a hard time finding my groove. There we go. really having a hard time seeing the groove and I need to add water, I'll just soak up some of that. Put my towel back down. The other way you can do this, guys, is you can always take it outside, put your tank on a blanket or a towel and just run a hose on it so you don't have to do the plumber's putty method. I personally like this because it allows me to do it inside in the comfort of my own home. Checking my groove right now, it's fairly close. Actually, as I look through the sides, about halfway there. So most of the time it takes 2 to 3 minutes to drill a single hole depending on the depth of your glass or the thickness of your glass. With this being a 3/8 inch tank, we'll probably look at about 2 to 2.5 minutes total drill time. So I'm starting to feel the glass give, which means I'm probably getting pretty close, which is exciting. At this point, you really got to be careful and just kind of take some pressure off and let the weight of the drill do the work. That way you don't have it blow out on the bottom. If you have it blow out, then your bulkhead might not seal and you'll have leaks, and a leaky tank is a bad thing, especially when you got wood floors and a wife that actually tolerates your hobby. Smell it? Yeah. It's taking a lot longer than normal. I don't know if this is the first rimless tank I've ever done, so I don't know if the way the glass is manufactured is any different than a rimmed tank. All my tanks have always been marine land, so I don't know if that would affect it. I don't know why that would affect it, but that's really the only difference. This is my first rimless tank. It seems to be taking a little longer, but I'm really also trying to be careful to not blow out the glass. I just realized it's probably a good idea to wear eye protection when doing this.
Yeah.
Oh, well, live and learn. We're almost there, looking down the side. We just finally went through a little bit. As you see, some water's dripping through. At this point, you really want to be careful and just let the drill bit do the work for you. Perfect. One hole done. We'll go ahead and take this piece off and we'll take off the tape. It looks pretty good. It doesn't look like there's really any blowout. Let me go ahead and clean that up for you guys here. You'll see it's a pretty straight, clear circle. But if you look at this piece, I mean, there's a little bit, but nothing that the bulkhead won't seal. So we're good there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do the same thing for the next 2 holes. Go and take my plumber's putty that I've already set up here to make another little dish to hold water. I'm gonna make this one a little bit higher because, as you guys saw, this splattered a lot. Things for the overflow box underneath the tank and not on top, because the Sharpie does come off with the water. These markings for the bulkheads I really don't mind because they're gonna get drilled out anyway. Once I start the hole, I don't need them anymore. And plus, once you start the hole, there's really no turning back. You want to do one?
No.
Why not?
I'm afraid to mess it up.
Oh, it's not that hard. Just gotta be patient. And then you just, put it gently across the glass or up on the glass, that way you get a decent seal. Go and wipe this off here. And we'll do the next one. Start out with just a little bit of water. Let me check the drill bit here. If not, I got another one that might have a little more diamonds on it, and it does not, so we will be sticking with this one. I'm going to try and push this one a little bit quicker, just now that I know how the glass is going to react.
Speed this next one up.
No, I know, but
Just because I see how you did the first one.
this glass takes forever. Or it could just be me thinking that the other ones went quicker. I don't know. No, I can feel it.
Okay.
Once you get it deep enough, you can kind of feel it with your finger, and then as you saw, it just falls right into place. And see, another reason why I put the towel there is obviously it fell this time. You can tell the drill bit's starting to get a little worn just because this one had a little bit more blowout than the other one. Still not bad. The bulkhead will still seal on it and be fine. But that's a good sign that your drill bit's starting to wear. Another reason why I said I don't think these do, they're more than like single use or single tank use. This is the second tank I'm doing with this particular drill bit. Be careful with the inside edges of these holes because they are super sharp, as well as the outside ones. Anytime you cut glass, it gets really sharp edges, real brittle. So you got to occasionally, if you need to, if it's real bad, go over it with some sort of sandpaper or something just to clean it out. So we got the last two holes drilled out. This last one, my drill bit was getting a little worn, so I had a little bit extra blowout, as you'll see right there. Still not terrible, because all that really matters is if your bulkhead, the gasket on the bulkhead will seal that. The gasket's this little rubber part here. We'll just slide it in up through the hole, and as you can see, the blowout's not even halfway around the gas or through the gasket, so it'll definitely seal it. That's one thing I like to do is check all my holes just to make sure that my bulkheads will seat properly, and as you see here, they all will. So what we're going to do now is we are going to flip over the tank and actually mount the overflow, silicone it in, and let it dry for the next 24 hours. So I'll just roll it over on my trusty cardboard mess box here, which, for any of you guys who are wondering, it's from the STI lip on the WRX, which I hate to tell you guys is actually out of commission right now. Miss Princess behind you decided to let me drive it like an idiot, and I blew my engine.
You did that on your own.
I know, you let me do it though. So,
Okay.
all I use, like I said, is the CPR overflow box, which is already marked out. And then I got this tube of aquarium silicone. You want 100% silicone. I got this one from Bulk Reef Supply for like $10 for the whole tube. You can buy them in pet stores, but it's usually a tube like yay big for $10. Or you can even get 100% silicone at Home Depot. But for roughly the same price, I just prefer to get the stuff that you know is aquarium and aquarium safe. So what I like to do is I will run a small little bead on the overflow edges itself, which I've actually already cut this tip, so I'm actually going to a pretty big bead because it's from when I built my last sump. So just a healthy bead of silicone. And a caulking gun makes this a lot easier. You can do it, like I said, with the squeeze tubes. It's just a lot harder to get a good, healthy, even bead. And like I said, I cut this tip a little wider for when I built my last sump. So that's why my bead's a little heavy. So we'll go ahead and just place it in the area that I marked off. And you've got a little bit of play. So if you make a little bit of mess, it's not the end of the world. To adjust it where you want it. And like I said, I wanted mine right at the bevel there. So I've got it in place. I'm gonna hold it for a second. And then what you do is you take your finger, as I'm doing here, not flipping you guys off, and you just run it down the edges to get off the excess silicone and to help smooth it out. So did that. I'll just wipe it on my box. Normally I have a towel. I try to do it on the inside a bit too. The inside's a little bit harder when you have bigger hands. You don't have to do it on the inside. Really, I just care about what's going to be visible most of the time, which is that right there. So we'll do that. And will you grab me that towel, babe? Oops, where I got a little too much silicone on the where I didn't want it. If you just take a damp towel and rub across it while it's still moist, it'll come right off. Otherwise, I'm not really too particular because I'm going to be painting the background of this tank black. But I just don't want to give anything nuisance a surface to stick to. So I'm trying to clean it up as best I can. And sorry, babe, but we're going to be out of a towel now.
Oh, I should have used one of your aquarium hats.
There we go. So I've got this overflow box. It keeps moving on me a little bit because I'm putting pressure on it. It doesn't take much to move it until the silicone cures. So you need to put weight on it. We're done with the drill, so I'm gonna put the heavy ass drill on it. And we're gonna leave it like that for the next, it's probably cured since I used so little after a few hours. We'll probably take the drill off, but I'll just leave it on for the next 12 hours or so. It takes silicone full 24 hours to actually cure it. But that's it as far as drilling out the tank and putting in the overflow. Our next video, we're gonna build a sump using a 15-gallon tank, actually from the one upstairs, and some acrylic back there. We're gonna cut it and get the sump ready.
Yay.